Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Vesuvius regular open meeting of council, February the 25th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. So first off, we will do the approval of the agenda, and there are no late items. Ms. Olszewski? No? Thank you. So could we have a motion, please, to approve the agenda? Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of the minutes, that would be the regular open minutes of February the 11th, 2025. Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor. And we will go to water matters. And go here, water districts 8 and 9 financial accounts. And the cash requirements for as of today are in the amount of $3,752.50. Thank you. Councillor Appleby, Councillor Morera seconding that. All in favor. Thank you. And next is the Okanagan Basin Water Board meeting highlights. And this meeting was a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure whether I said anything about it then, but here is the report. We're really seeking a lot of OBWB, seeking a lot of support to strengthen the invasive mussel prevention program. We don't want any of the little devils getting into BC waters. So I think that a memo has been sent to Minister Neal, who is the Minister of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, and she's looking at it. So that's a positive thing. Lisa Scott, the Executive Director of the Okanagan and Similkameen Invasive Species Society, gave a kind of a report for the year of 2024. And they did 986 surveys at 15 boat launches. And they talked to people about how to protect, their boats and so on from in the water, and how to look for and clean, drain, dry, all of those things. They've done an amazing job. They go in parades. They attend lots of things in the summertime. And the forecast is that 2025 indicating a wetter, warmer spring. So I guess that means spring is here quite soon. And there is a cyanobacteria threat to drinking water, and there is a group that is meeting often and really having a look at this and trying to tackle some of the key water challenges. So there will be more information coming out on that. So that's the report. Is there someone who would like to move that the report be received for information? Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, special event policy amendment. Mr. Davis, are you going to fill us in on this, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we get going here, this has been identified as a council strategic priority. It was last updated in 2017. And currently we have a number of bylaws that are actually part of the special event, which includes recreation fees and charges, our good neighbor bylaw, our parks and community facilities regulations, administrative fees and charges, and our fire protection and fire safety. At the committee of the whole meeting on February 11th, council agreed that renaming the policy to Comms Community Services 010 would be fine, along with changing the application time to 3 weeks. There was a discussion about the commercial general liability, and council asked about having options or different levels of insurance for specific events, which is included here later on. And the proposed addition of 2 levels of insurance, basically the 2 million if it would be a just basic event with low risk, or a 5 million, something at a higher risk, which would include different variables as inflatables, fireworks, open air burning, etc. Some of the bylaw changes that were addressed: the nonprofit fee adjustment for 1331, adding a nonprofit fee for application and extra washroom cleaning. Right now, this is a free service. The nonprofit fee adjustment for recreation services fees and charges bylaw 1180. For nonprofits, the tables, chairs, bleachers, and possibly the special event trailer. There is no charge for these items. And we want to make sure that we ensure transparency for the actual costs associated with the events. At the end of the day, when we actually report or let council know what the actual event cost, these could be included as items. Most times they get lost in the mix. And right now we're looking at these bylaws possibly to be reviewed later in the year due to the fact that the nonprofit groups have already budgeted their events. And some of these may actually have an impact on the groups later as they go forward. If, for example, some of these fees were put in place, obviously they're going to be at a lower rate, but they would also be part of the special event applications that they have an opportunity to recoup those costs. I keep forgetting that I got the clicker. So before council, some of the options to approve the name change of the special events policy, corporate 002 to special event policy communication service 010. And that council approves the amendments to the special event policy COM 010 as indicated prior. And that council directs staff to bring a report to make changes to recreation services fees and charges bylaw 1180 and administrative fees and charges bylaw 1331. Another option that council does not approve the changes. And the third option that council defers the special event policy for further changes. In terms of the implication for the community, it's just having a good working relationship and making sure that the success of these events in the community and for the people is something for them to enjoy. Organizational staff working with groups. We're trying to get more involved with our special event staff person to work more closely with these groups to get a better understanding of some of their needs. In terms of the budget, the financial risk implications, the bylaw changes could increase revenue collected for special events, and a repercussion of this could change or increase the community service grant program as well. Currently, it's set at $64,000, and having an increase in some of these fees may serve well to increase the actual grant program. However, when we look at some of the new events that come up or events that are not nonprofit, it could definitely bring in more revenue. Significant dates. Obviously, we want to do this ASAP. We have a number of groups right now who have filled out the special event application, which is what we have in place now. But anybody new coming forward or any groups that haven't done that, they will be, applying with the new application. And of course, sustainability and offering our numerous events in the community, leagues and gatherings could enhance the community spirit and be more efficient and easier to organize. So the recommendation to council is number 1, which is that council approves this name change of special events policy to special event policy COM 010. That council approves the amendment to special events policy, and that council directs staff to bring the report to make changes to recreation service fees and charges bylaw 1180 and administrative fees and charges bylaw 1331. And that would be the special event policy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. You have explained this to us at previous meetings, so I think it's nice to have a bit of a review, and I think and it makes sense to look at some of these policies, and I'll just see if anybody has any questions. No? So would somebody like to make a recommendation then, please? Councillor King?
All three on them separate.
They apparently can go together, so you can move all 3 of them at once. Is that all right? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Poderica seconding that. You're sure you don't have any questions, Councillor King?
I'll ask
Okay,
the question, hold on. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The question is, I guess, if this gets passed moving forward now, you talked about new application would go forward, but we haven't been presented with the new fees yet, so how does that impact it?
The new fees that would be provided, are separate from the bylaws. So until we bring the bylaws back for council's, evaluation, or recommendation, what we have in our fees and charges bylaws now will be that way. So basically what we're doing is making some administrative changes on our special event application, and then we will go forward. Yeah.
okay, so it's been moved and seconded that, that we go with the recommended motions. All, oh, okay.
Thank you. And we chatted briefly about this during the grant approval committee meeting. One of the big goals for this revamp of this policy is so that we can show transparency as to how much the town supports these events with a monetary amount. With that said, the actual community services grant amount is going to need to increase, or else now these groups are going to have technically less. But at the same time, when we charge them these fees, they're also it's essentially a net zero. So how do we increase the pot of money without actually increasing it? Like, does that make sense? If that, like, how do we back calculate, and then we can amend the grant amount total so that it nets zero? Or this is where I'm trying to kind of rack my head as to how we do this from a financial and budgetary implication.
So, Madam Mayor to Councillor Chung, right now what we do, and not every community group or nonprofit would apply, for, a grant to help offset their event. But most do, especially with the RMI funding and how much we've increased that. If there was a charge, whether it's, for the use of the facility, or any other item that would be listed in their fees and charges, yes, they could include that in their overall budget, submit it, and we'd give them the money back. But when we do that, would they actually pay? And I know you're taking from one pot, putting it into another, it's still the same pot. And we could possibly do a net zero. My suggestion is that at the end of the day, maybe we wouldn't charge, or that would be up to council not to charge, some of those fees for the nonprofit groups.
Would that be the committee that the three people on the committee would look at that and would come back to council after they discussed it?
Your worship, maybe just one more suggestion. So
Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing is, maybe we don't know exactly how many people are going to want chairs and how many nonprofits, that type of thing, right? It's a number, but is it $10,000? Is it 2,000? So I think one of the things that we can do, because we got a half decent inventory as to what people use, and maybe we can take a closer look at it this year, so to get a good indication. Some of the bigger events, they use 10 tables, 5 tables, 6 tables, and this way, then when we know if we rent them out at $5 or $10, it's about $2,000. I'm making up numbers here. And so when we come forward in the budget process next year, we can say there's likely going to be a request for $2,000, increase the grant by $2,000 to offset this increased cost to nonprofits. It would still be up to the committee whether to say, yes, we're going to refund you these 10 chairs and that type of thing. So I think that's one way to get a decent guess as to what that number is. And I think even at the, as we go through the process, I mean, at the end of the day, if there is something that comes up that there just isn't enough money, like grant funding available, one of the things the council can always do, we can come back with a report and say, here's this nonprofit group that had a cost of $300 for chairs. There's no more money in the pot. Council has the ability to waive that fee. So I think there's always a backdrop to deal with some one-off situations that aren't budgeted properly. Does that help answer?
So would it be more efficient if maybe we also add in the grant application where they have a total which is just their fees and charges, so that we actually have it kind of separated almost? Because then if we do, because I mean, it was grossly oversubscribed this coming in or this past intake. So if it becomes clear for us and just more transparent as to this chunk of the grant request is from tables, chairs, facility rental, then it makes it easier for us to say like, okay, well, we don't have enough money in the community services grant to cover this entire amount. Then as our CEO had suggested, then with this budget line of fees and charges, we can say, well, we could just waive these or in kind, etc.
Madam Mayor to
Yep.
Councillor Chiang. So I think what I'm hearing is that if we did an inventory list of items that they would require as per the special event application, that would normally be charged out, or just separated, i.e. tables, chairs, etc., for say a special event, and it was separate, from their budget, or, you know, they actually put the budget together, made the application, and these items were separated. I think that could work because, when they actually make, the application, we would provide them not just with, you know, can we have your insurance, papers, etc., but this is also what it's going to cost. So they would have a breakdown of what the costs are associated with the event based on what they require. And this was a bit of a, I don't want to say an issue, but this sort of came to light when we had some user groups who would, you know, rent for the park, say 10 or 12 hours before the event would happen, not realizing that now they're getting charged $20 an hour, where they would only needed an hour before for setup, an hour after for takedown. And of course, that makes a huge difference, obviously. But there's different, definitely ways. Some of our community, there is a section now in our community services grant application in the policy itself that addresses the free use of facilities. And again, if that was the case where a group came forward and say, you know, instead of paying the $1,000 for the use of the Sonora Community Center for an event for a week long or a weekend type of thing, the committee could make a recommendation to have that as part of a grant as long as that's what they've applied for. And we've done that for, I believe, Desert Park Exhibition Society, where they came forward and did that very thing. And it was like $1,500 or something. But we also gave them the funds, you know, for that, and it got paid back to the town. So it's the same kind of thing, right?
Well, thank you. And you've provided a whole bunch of the application forms, which is quite a bit different from the last ones. I remember doing them for, you know, the Festival Society, and there certainly were not 40 of them. So I think that that these application forms, and looking through them, do cover a lot of the things that you've mentioned. So I think that'll be quite helpful to people that are filling them out, and they can then come and ask questions, right? Yeah.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We also have, you know, if any of the groups, nonprofits, we've told everybody from day one, if there's something that you feel you can't afford, or something that you can't pay because you just don't have the means to do so, then is a good time to come to council. And as our CAO said, you know, ask council to get it at that cost or no cost, but
Yeah.
you know, they really have to show that it's something they couldn't pay. When you're talking a large event and you got numerous people, and sometimes they pay an entry fee and those kind of things, and you show that on your budget, you know, we obviously can tell, well, they're not in the business of making money. They just want to pay for the services that they do, unless, of course, it's a special event where they're trying to raise as much money as they can for a specific project. So
No, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Worship, just a, sorry, quick question here. It's our intention, for our special events trailer, to charge fees on that for the equipment involved in that, or is that an opportunity for us to, or use, if a group is of size that it requires a special event trailer, which I think we funded with some RMI funding,
All of it.
that can be provided to them as at least a startup kit, let's say, to
Yep.
get them going, and then anything over and above would be considered maybe the additional cost, and that way, if we do have some of our signature events or so the
So-
capacity that requires this, it's good visibility for us with the events trailer and the funding that's paid for it to maybe consider that, you know, if it's anything over and above that, that's where we maybe consider.
Yeah, so right now, what's in place is that there is no charge for the special events trailer. But I think if we bring that back, that could be an item, and obviously if council feels that is the case, you know, then obviously that's how it would be set up, right? I think in the roundabout, or if you come full circle with this whole thing, if we're gonna charge, not just for the whole sake of getting, a true cost of what this is, costing the town, the taxpayers, et cetera, but also for asset management, because we really want to make sure that, in 10 years that we got 100 tables to give away, and we will collect some of those funds for that purpose, but it's a difficult situation. There's no doubt. But it is, and again, our nonprofit rates would be, completely separate. There's a couple of other things that, the town covers that are not included in our special event stuff in terms of insurance and stuff like that. So those are other special agreements that have always been in place. And that's the other thing, if there are major events in the community and we have some kind of joint use agreement or some kind of agreement with a particular group, which we do sometimes, then we could actually, council can make that decision about, what's charged, what's not charged, et cetera. Don't want to get too into it too much, but
I think it's probably going to take a while because as we can see, there are quite a few different little sidelines. I know that the RDOS has a trailer that they, and I don't know what, do they rent it to communities if they need it, or is that a free service? I wasn't sure.
I do believe it's a free service, but
Okay.
Derek can actually talk to that.
Thanks, Mrs. Dennison.
No problem, Your Worship. There is a fee, but a nominal fee, and that's just to help cover staff time to bring the trailer down. And usually they provide a staff or two staff members to pack it up, unpack it, play the games, all that
Okay.
type of idea. Yeah.
Thank you. And I just knew that they've had one for a couple of years, and that's why I was just asking. Okay, so what we need, did we already tell me where we're at? We've had it moved and seconded,
Yes.
but
Your
we
Worship.
haven't voted yet.
You're correct.
All right, so we've had it moved and seconded, the recommendation. Thank you for all the questions. I will call the vote. All in favor? Thank you very much to both of you. We appreciate it. Okay, next is the renewal for license of occupation, and Mrs. Robinson, you're going to deal with this one.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the report in front of you is a renewal for license of occupation so that we may have access for our sanitary sewer line over Crown land. The Ministry of Water, Land and Resource would like a motion from council accepting the license renewal.
And I wasn't sure where this was. Is it a location that we should know about, or no, it's not?
I can tell you that it is in the RDOS and it does provide services to the area, so.
Okay. Go ahead. Are you moving it?
Yeah, moving option one.
Okay, and that they signatories to execute as well?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
seconding? All in favor? Thank you very much. Next is the grant application for Community Emergency Preparedness Fund and Emergency Operations Center Equipment and Training. Mr. Risley?
Thank you, Your Worship. 2 weeks ago, we came forward with a grant application in collaboration with the RDOS, and this is an additional $40,000 grant application. As you and the public are aware, disasters do occur and they're occurring more often. And one of the things that we're doing to better prepare the region and to keep costs as limited as possible is to form an alliance with the RDOS and adjacent municipalities and working together to prepare ourselves for when these events do occur. And so there's been a lot of work behind the scenes and in pooling resources. This is no different. Another grant came available that would focus on our ESS group, which is, again, a fantastic group. And so we're hoping that all the municipalities, councils agree, and our portion of that would be 40,000. We'd like to put it into the central part of the RDOS that does nothing but compound, our investment to when we're going to need that resource for our community. And so we are asking that council approves the regional grant application for the 2025 Community Emergency Preparedness Fund under the Emergency Operations Center Equipment and Training Stream through the RDOS, and that the RDOS is authorized to receive and manage the grant funding on behalf of the town of Vesuvius. So again, it's several municipalities. They're going forward as we speak, looking to get a bigger pot of money to get a bigger bang for our buck.
Thank you very much. Yes, and it has been brought up at the regional district table too. So people there know about it and they're in favor of it as well. So, council, could we have a motion, please? Councillor Bennett, you
So moved.
recommended motion. Councillor Poderick, are you seconding it? Thank you. Did you have a question? Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, is this just a one time or would this come up every year? Or we don't know yet?
Your worship, we never know. Definitely over the last few years, there's been a lot of grant opportunities with EOCs and supporting mechanisms or agencies. So we can never tell that, but right now, certainly there's been a few of them.
And the grant is 100% funded by the province. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next is the Border Mayors Alliance. Mrs. Robinson, are you gonna?
Thank
talk
you,
to
Your
this?
Worship. So the report in front of you is a recommendation. Your Worship has attended meetings with the Border Alliance, and now we would like to bring forth a motion that Mayor McCordorf represents the town of Vesuvius on the Border Mayors Alliance group, and that the town of Vesuvius provide a population-driven contribution of $294.61 to the city of Windsor on behalf of the Alliance for the development of a strategic and tactical plan.
Thank you. I'll just speak to this a little bit. At the moment, there are about 35 communities across Canada that have been attending meetings and are looking to join this. It's really a communications, provide a united front, media relations, and so on. And there's a group called Crestview Strategy, which has been at the first meeting and continues to do that. And they have put out a sort of a strategy for the border mayors to look at. It's going to be $100,000 for 6 months of operation to have a look at what they can do. Our share of it, based on population, is $294. So the big cities, of course, are paying the bulk of this because they have a much higher population. So Crestview Strategy is planning to do social media depending on what's happening with the tariffs and what's happening across the border. They're willing to do press releases, put together key messaging for all of us. And we've now decided that, or they have decided, and I just read it recently, that there's going to be a meeting every Thursday at 1 o'clock. That's not always easy for everybody to attend because I have regional district meetings on those days as well. So we're decided that it would be a good idea to be involved with this and try and work together to come up with a good strategy for how we can help our citizens, our businesses, and hopefully work with mayors across the border. I know that Windsor and Detroit, two big cities that are totally interconnected, and they're working together on this as well. So my recommendation is, and I did bring this up at the regional district, and they have supported the fact that I would be the person to be on this committee and report back to them as well as people in the South Okanagan. So I would be happy to do this, to represent Town of Vesuvius on the Border Mayors Alliance. I've been on a couple of meetings already. I've also been interviewed by Global and CBC and so on about this. I haven't committed anything from Vesuvius, but I'm happy to get the information and continue to go to the meetings. So the recommendation is, do you want to read that? You go ahead. Or have we already? Yeah, we've already done it. I wasn't sure if anybody had any questions about it first. Okay. Do we do before the recommendation? Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I understand, I support this. It's just, this is for 6 months. What happens, or is there been any conversation? What happens after 6 months? Or they put the strategy, or we're gonna have to come up with more money? Do we know?
And that's a possibility. This is just going to, this $100,000 is going to give the contractor the ability to do it for 6 months, and then we can look at it again, because we're really not quite sure what's going to happen. So it's sort of a day-to-day. Did you have a question?
Thank you. I just wonder what the ultimate purpose is the contractor just going to provide us with like marketing or social media material for us to disseminate to our constituents? Like, is the alliance going to potentially like provide recommendations to like the feds and the province for like specific initiatives, or like I just want like what's the scope? Like,
There was a letter sent, and that was in the last thing. So that was the first part. I think it's kind of a work in progress because nobody really knows. This has just been started. They're trying to, well, it's in the report here. It says they're trying to protect economic and developmental interests. And just for 6 months, we'll look at what can we do to identify perhaps alternative supply chains, because that seems to be an issue going back and forth, and perhaps disruptions to border crossings. And it's just like, we're not quite sure, but let's talk about it and see if we can come up with some, at least be in the know and come up with some maybe ways that we can help one another and bring a positive response, because it's scary. Sometimes when I talk to the Chamber of Commerce locally, they said that they hadn't heard much, but they'd heard a few rumblings from some of the businesses that were worried about their business wasn't going to be able to survive, and they weren't sure what to do, and they weren't sure where to look. So I'd be happy to come back with reports or provide the ones that Crestview Strategy provides, and to Town of Vesuvius and to the regional district for sure. So the recommendation is on there that that I represent them, and that and I don't know how we do this yet, the $294. I'll figure that out, how to spend that. So so we've had moved. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Poderica. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, general net payroll Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. As of today, general cash requirements in the amount of $292,511.30. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $1,764.83. And net payroll accounts of $110,601.38. And so we need a motion, please, to have this as provided as information purposes. Thank you. Counselor Bennett, Counselor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, next we have Ms. Duong, bylaws, the OCP zoning bylaw amendment application Z 2305 at 6819 and 6821 Cottonwood Drive. Thank you, Ms. Duong.
Thank you. So yes, this item is an application for OCP and zoning amendments to facilitate a 19-unit townhouse development under a proposed medium-density residential site-specific zoning. This was the subject of a public hearing at council's last meeting on February 11th, and council after that public hearing had subsequently approved third reading of the amendment bylaws. Since that time, the Ministry of Transportation did provide their approval as was required under the Transportation Act, and that was received on February 12th. So this item is coming back up now to council for consideration of adoption.
Thank you very much. So we have gone through this quite a few times and we've had a lot of the questions answered. So the recommendation is that the Town of Vesuvius Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 137502 and the Town of Vesuvius Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 139501 be adopted. Council, what is your wish on this?
Should I move for adoption?
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor King, are there any questions or concerns? Okay, well, I'm going to ask the question then. All in favor? Anyone against? Thank you. That was one against. That carried. Thank you very much. And we will now go to the CAO's report. Mr. Resling.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended the CAO forum last week. It was a great event. I think there was an excess of 90 CAOs at the meeting. I think there's like about 150 municipalities, so it's a fairly high turnout and a lot of useful information and good contacts. One of the other meetings that I want to bring up is we met with Recycle BC. Our recycling material actually gets audited. They actually grab our bins and they take them to a sorting yard and take a look to see, you know, what's in there, what shouldn't be in there, and we get these reports about every quarter. And we're doing not too bad previously. However, we've slipped past a critical mark, and what that basically means is we're are going to have to undergo a significant review and develop a plan to improve our scores. So I'm just bringing this up from a couple of perspectives. Number one is there's going to likely be additional information being advertising, e-news, that type of thing, and I just really need to plead with the public that it's important to actually look at what you can and cannot recycle. If we do not improve our scores, there are significant fines, and there's municipalities that have received fines like $50,000 and more. So it's important not only from just an environmental perspective, but also from a fee perspective and the cost of what it costs us to get our garbage taken care of. So this serve, I guess, as a bit of a reminder and a heads up that things are going to intensify on that side of it. I know people are hearing a lot from the town lately with water meters, and we're going to go into, as we heard earlier today, into the cart choices. We've got a bunch of other things going on. The Parks Master Plan's coming up here as far as a final review. So we've got lots of things going on, and so it's going to be a bit of a information overload, but it really is important, and things that we don't do are going to impact us in the future. Other things that are happening is the Accessibility and Age-Friendly Committee is going to be scheduling an open house for local businesses. That's likely going to occur March 6th, so in 18th. It got changed, so thank you very much, Councillor, this morning. All right. And it's going to be occurring on March 18th, I assume in the evening at Sonora Center. So yeah, I hope a lot of the businesses come because it's going to provide information to them as far as how they can make their business more accessible. So yeah, that's I think one of the first times they've done something like this. So we're looking forward to that new event. TGIF, first one was held February 7th, and another one's going to be occurring March 7th. So that's a free movie night. So definitely encourage all the youngsters out there to attend that session. Family Day skate occurred last week. Family Day, almost 200 people attended. On the corporate services side, it's there's a lot of questions at the front counter with regards to the quarterly billing. Just want to ensure people, because one of the things that is maybe not understood out there is that, yes, bills are now quarterly, you go on a monthly program, and that bill is now coming off your property tax bill. People believe this is a brand new bill. It is new from a perspective, it's a new piece of paper, but that amount that you're paying this year is no longer going to be put onto your property tax bill, which is mailed out in May. So that's probably one of the most common questions that we're receiving. And we're from the fire department, they're continuing to do training on ice rescues. Again, there is some ice out there. It's not safe in all places, so please stay off the ice. As from Planning Development Services, there's information going out with regards to business licenses. And one of the things that we're really looking forward to is hearing what people think about food trucks. We don't have a lot of food trucks, but it's something that consumes a lot of time, like whether we should have more food trucks, when should we have food trucks, how does it impact local businesses? So we're going to get some feedback on that. So we're encouraging people to participate in that. Business licenses, payments are due February 28th, so a lot of businesses have paid, but for those that haven't, please pay by that date or there will be fines associated with late payments. New businesses, Cherry Lake Enterprises Limited and a change of address for Calder Computers. From an operational services perspective, there's a lot of things actually on schedule there, which is kind of good. We got a lot of year-end reporting from lagoon perspective as well as water reports, and we're on schedule, which is I think a positive thing considering what's been going on there. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Risling. Could we have a motion, please, to accept the CAO report for information? Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to council reports. Councillor King, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last week I attended the grant evaluation committee meeting along with Councillor Bennett and Councillor Chung. It's quite interesting to go through the process on an evaluation on how to give out the money fairly. We had 24,000, we had requests over 300,000, which was kind of interesting to review. I think the committee does an excellent job. We try to be fair to everybody and try to give everybody a little bit of money. If we can't give them the full amount, is one thing. You might hear from the other councillors a different perspective. Also attended the accessibility and friendly committee meeting last week also. And like Mr. Riesling said, we're kind of excited. The whole committee was there and decided to have this open house and invite businesses and anybody else is interested in how they can improve their own facility. There will be hopefully a developer there that might be able to answer some questions, someone from Interior Health and someone doing a speak. It will be at Sonora Center in the evening. The day has just been changed now to the 17th because that's when the rooms upstairs are available. And that's my report.
You said the 18th.
Oh, sorry, 18th.
It's the 18th? Okay. I was just going to ask about that.
Maybe let's just check because we want to make sure the date's correct.
All right.
Want to make sure that's right, everybody. Yeah, you said it just been changed this morning. Okay, good. Thank you. Well, that written down, that'll be in the minutes. Thank you very much, Councillor King. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just went to the evaluation meeting as well, and it is quite interesting trying to take this amount of money asked for, and you have a little pot a year and try to keep everybody happy. Like Councillor King said. Then on February 18th, 19th, I attended the library board meeting and was elected a new board, and Tasha De Silva from West Kelowna is a new um,
Chair.
board chair for this year. And it was kind of interesting. I have a meeting on Friday, and it's an international meeting for the bike trails. And the thing with Mr. Trump has already started to happen as a couple, 3 people have dropped off because they're no longer working. And the fellow doing the, running the meeting has no staff left to run the meeting. So he's going to try to do the Zoom meeting himself.
Oh, dear.
So even though it sounds like it's a long ways away, it's just over the border.
Mhm.
That's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bennett. Councillor Chung.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'll repeat it. I was at the grant evaluation committee meeting with Councillors Bennett and Councillor King. Yeah, again, it's never easy because there's limited resources and a lot of requests. But one of the systems we did put in place to try to be as objective as possible is a scoring system where, for example, sustainability is scored out of I believe max is 5 because it got close. Like a lot of these applications were like, oh, we have 1,500 left. How do we divide this? And, you know, one application would edge out another by 1 point, and they were allocated the money because we created the system for a reason to make these decisions as transparent and as objective as possible. But I'm hoping all the organizations are happy with what they got, or at least not very, very angry. But yeah, that basically concludes my report.
Can I ask, the 24,000 that was left, that's been spent now? Is that correct?
Gonna come to council next month to get ratified.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, good. Yeah, that's
And
what I
there are a
thought.
few which are contingent on XYZ, so
Okay,
it may be a little bit fluid. Yeah.
okay, thank you. Well, I know it's quite a lot of work that you guys, the 3 of you have been with Mr. Davis, because it's a little more complicated now than it used to be, eh? Okay, Councillor Poderica.
And thank you, Your Worship. I was not at the grant evaluation committee. However, last week I attended our regular District Associates committee meeting, board meeting. Some good numbers coming out of there. The last 4 months, visitor traffic to the visitor center is actually up, and we're still seeing numbers that are actually higher than some of our neighboring communities. So that's been great. Obviously, some discussion there as to what does the accommodation sector look like with regards to the current issues in the United States, but things are looking positive. Last night had the opportunity to attend the Coyotes annual award banquet. Obviously not the finish that the community was hoping for, but overall, you know, it's another great year of junior hockey in Oceus, and thanks to, obviously, to the volunteers, the players, the billets, and the sponsors, and the owners for the great game they delivered in Oceus. And that's my report.
Thank you. So a couple of things. I have been on the ETSI-BC. I've been to several meetings. One of them because I'm on the RAC meeting, that Thompson Okanagan RAC chair, which includes members from all of the different regional districts and communities in the Thompson Okanagan area. We also have another one for the Columbia Kootenay. So we had a RAC meeting because we were quite keen on involving the First Nations in on the board of ETSI-BC and its take using DRIPA, and we've done quite a lot of research, asked a lot of the chiefs and councillors have been to the meetings. We've talked about how we can make things work and share it. And the applications are open again for the spring intake. There's about $600,000 or $700,000 available for ETSI-BC, and communities and regional districts can apply for those. And it's open from March the 10th to April the 11th. And so I think that if anybody has a good idea on economic development, that's what ETSI-BC is, Economic Trust of the Southern Interior, that they should put together an application. It can be nonprofits as well that can do that. And the last time we did it in the fall, I think there were 28 or 29 different organizations within at CBC that got some money. So it's worthwhile looking at. And that's taken a fair amount of time because I've been about 4 or 5 of those meetings. I was also at the regional district meeting last week, and we meet every 2 weeks. And we had a report from the RCMP. So from all of the RCMP sergeants for the communities and also the superintendent. And it was quite interesting. And Sergeant Beta gave a report, of course, for Asuyas and talked about making sure that you protect your cars, protect your property, lock your cars, don't leave obvious parcels and things in your car that make it easier for people to go in and take. And interesting that he said that there are more travel trailers and trailers that are being stolen now rather than cars. And he asked somebody that he had caught doing one, I think, and he said, "Why do you need these?" And he said, and this was at an open meeting, he said, "It's easier to steal them and sell them because the VIN number can be changed more easily than on a car." And I don't know whether anybody had ever thought of that before, but people need to be careful. Trailers and that type of thing can be stolen as well, not just cars. So his recommendation was, make it open, make people aware of this, and hopefully they can do something to protect their own property. So Counselor or Sergeant Beta will come to a Town of Vesuvius meeting fairly soon. They're pretty good about doing that every once in a while. And just as a report, I have been texting with Chief Clarence Louie because we're trying to get something put down at the 85th Street Plaza. Something that we've asked the OIB to do, and we've been back and forth, got some pretty good ideas about honoring the salmon in the South Okanagan. So we're working with the OIB on trying to get a statue or something down there to honor that, and so we're working on that one. I also want to say that this weekend, I think it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, up at the high school, up at the theater, the mini theater, there is a play put on. There are a lot of people in the community who are actors and organizers and producers of this play. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there are lots of tickets available for, I think it's 4 performances, and they're in many places in town. It's something about a will, and I don't remember. Councillor King, do you remember the name of it? No, it's something about a will, and it's supposed to be really good. So please go and enjoy that if you're so inclined. And that's my report. And yes.
I might have missed it. Was there a deadline for that grant opportunity, XT?
At CBC?
Yeah.
Yes, it's open from March the 10th to April the 11th. It's a month that it's open. Pardon me? I didn't hear you. Sorry. Oh, you go ahead and say that then. You already know that, yeah.
Yeah, we just want to congratulate the Soyuz Secondary School for going to the provincials. They'll be going to Langley to show off Soyuz basketball skills. So congratulations to the team.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will now move into the in-camera session, and that pursuant to Section 91 of the Community Charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following: 91C, labor relations or other employee relations; 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public, and 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. So could we have a motion to do that? Thank you, Councillor Pottery.